Are you looking for tips on how to host a successful open house? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, it's Rosemary Lewis, your educator agent with eXp Realty, and today we are going to talk about one of my all-time favorite lead generation activities, open houses. But before we get into it, if you could do me a favor to subscribe to my channel and click the bell, that way YouTube will let you know every single time I post a video about a hot topic like today. Let's get into it. So I don't know about you, but I honestly, y'all, really like doing open houses. And that probably was one of the most difficult parts of going through the pandemic, was that a lot of open houses were shut down for a while, but now they are coming back. And boy, oh boy, is it a great opportunity to meet potential buyers and sellers, and also to practice having conversations with real people who are interested in real estate. I'm going to share with you a few tips that I use, practical tips that I use to ensure having a successful open house. So here we go. Tip number one, you definitely want to be a little discerning about the house that you are going to hold open. Now, in this market that we're currently living in 2021, houses don't stay on the market long. So you might not be in a situation where you're holding a home open that has a lot of market time. When I am doing an open house, I look for a hot property in a hot neighborhood that is priced right and staged well. So make sure that you are a little discerning and making sure that you're spending your time at a home that is going to draw interested parties. Tip number two, as soon as possible, begin to start promoting your open house on social media. Now, if you are tech savvy enough to use Instagram ads or Facebook ads, you definitely might want to consider spending a few bucks on that, but it's not necessarily necessary. Just make sure that you are posting on your Facebook business page, that you are posting on your personal page, that you have an open house coming up, and even garage sale sites and things like that might allow you to do it. Be sure to check the rules. Tip number three, it is always a great idea to invite neighbors, i.e., potential sellers that live close to the open house, to the actual open house. You can do so by door knocking, and I get it, it's 2021. A lot of people aren't comfortable door knocking, but a lot of folks are still opening the doors. So you can door knock and give them an invitation to the open house. You can even ask permission to post into the neighborhood Facebook page or do mailers so that they know that you're holding the house open and exactly what the details are. The next tip that I'm going to share with you is, prior to the open house, it is a really good idea, especially in the times that we are living in, to have a QR code, similar to what you see at a restaurant. Many restaurants are doing it right now for menus. You can just download a free QR code reader and have it linked to all of the property information. And it would be really good if it would link to your website, so that in order for the people to come to the open house, you're not passing out papers, you're minimizing touch, but in advance, you've already thought about a way that you can share the property information with them without having everybody touching everything. So look into a free QR code and how you can incorporate that to the property website. That way you can capture everyone's information when they come. Here's a really important tip when you host an open house. There has to be some sort of way for you to collect the information for every single person coming to the house. A lot of people use a sign-up sheet, which is cool. For me, for that QR code, I even will have a QR code that will link to my website or link to a Google Doc, where I have to capture their information in order for them to enter the home. And remember, an objection handler. If someone does not want to give you their information, you just politely tell them, you know what, thank you so much for your time. However, I did let the seller know, as a security measure, that I would collect the information of everyone entering in the home. So if you would love to tour it, I would love to allow you to, but I have to have your information in order to do so. And that way, more people are more apt to give you their info. The next tip, y'all, signs. Make sure that you put out plenty of open house signs in ample amount of time, and you want the signs to be clear and directional so that anyone who's driving down the street will know exactly how to get to the open house. But here is a tip that has worked really well for me. Put as many signs as you can in the front yard. I'm talking 10, 15 signs, all pointing directly to that house that screams, I'm open, I'm open. What that does more than anything is that it tells neighbors who may have missed your mailing or who didn't answer the door that, hey, I can go into this house right now and I can figure out exactly what they're selling for and compare it to my house, which in turn gives you the opportunity to speak to someone who may be an interested seller down the line. So make sure you put plenty of signs out in the front yard when hosting an open house. Okay, now when you're in the house, when you're in there preparing, just make sure that the house is uber presentable. Make sure that it smells good. Light a candle, bake a cookie, do something. And here is a tip that I learned the hard way. Open up, because when people go to open houses, they look at everything. You walk that house, make sure all the toilets are flushed, make sure that the toilet seats are down, make sure that there's nothing personal in the showers, things like that, so that the home is really presentable. Because here's the thing, even if it's not your listing, the home is a reflection of your business, right? So you want buyers, potential buyers and sellers that come through to be impressed. Even if the home isn't their style, we want to make sure that it's clean, that it's welcoming, and that it's inviting, and that they're not going to be shocked what they see if they pull back the curtain. Okay. All right, and speaking of the house looking good for an open house, please make sure that you look presentable. Now, one of the really great things about being a real estate agent is that we can make this business our own and you don't have to follow any particular dress code or script. However, we want to assert ourselves and look like a professional. So it should be clear that you are the open house host. Go ahead and put on your badge for your brokerage and make sure that you look presentable and not like you're out for brunch with your girls, okay? You definitely want to present like the professional at the open house, because for many of the people that have come through, this will be their first impression of you and how you run your business. Next tip. Even though you have already done your due diligence and you have the QR code that's going to link to all of the information about the house, you better be able to tell anyone who comes into the home about the home. Know what schools they zone to. Know what the square footage is. Any information from the seller's disclosure. When did the sellers replace the roof? What type of electricity is there? Is there a gas hookup? As much information as you can give about the home, again, it asserts you as being the expert. If they're not interested in that home, they already know that you are detailed and you're going to go the extra mile when they do want to look at a home. You're going to find out the information. And y'all, here is the last important thing when it comes to hosting a successful open house. It's actually following up with the people who came to the open house after the open house. I am honestly very ashamed to admit that my first couple of months to a year in the business, I would spend weekend after weekend at open houses, generating leads, meeting great people. But if the people didn't call me back, I didn't always do a great job of calling them back. Even if the people that came through didn't seem like they were particularly interested, still make sure to follow up with them, because the fortune is in the follow-up. And I'm not just talking one time. Make sure that you reach back out and provide them value. It could be a month after the open house and you just reach out and say, hey, Kim, thank you so much for coming to the open house that I hosted over on Main Street a couple weeks ago. Just wanted to let you know, because I know those were your neighbors, that home actually sold for $519,000. It was listed for $475,000. The sellers were ecstatic. If you want me to run numbers for your house, I will be happy to. Make sure that you are in the habit of following up, because that follow-up can be the difference between that open house being a bust or a banger. If you made it to the end of this video and you are not subscribed to my channel, what are you doing with your life? Go ahead and subscribe. I'm so excited to continue to connect with you. And speaking of connection, follow me on Instagram, Rosemary the Realtor, and let's connect on Facebook, where I am Rosemary Lewis. Y'all have a good day.